All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to those of you across the world that are just staying awake for this wonderful cast. It is Fight Club. I am your host, BC Dagger, and we have a PvP on the way. Guys, today it's going to be Bonyth, our rating champ from last week. Yes, he dethroned Koget. Koget was on a 4-week win streak. He earned $140, but now Bonyth is on his path to the bounty. Dewalt, he wants to try and knock him off. Bonyth is claiming himself, well, maybe he didn't claim himself, but Bonyth is rated as the top Protoss player in the world right now among foreign players. His skill level is so good. He may have the highest rank on a fish right now as far as foreigners do go. So Dewalt trying to derail him, he's going to do what he does best, just drill his way into his opponent. And yes, Dewalt was going to provide me with a picture, but since he did not get around to it, we have gone with the mighty Dewalt drill. Now, last week, I want to apologize. It was supposed to be casted on Africa TV, and it was a bit of a disaster. No, let's say it was a lot of a disaster because I was on a computer that just didn't work well. The audio stream was good, but the visual was not. I'm going to go back and recast those. So if you do want to see how Bonyth versus Dewalt went, I promise I'm trying to schedule that in. Otherwise, I want to tell you guys that we are going to have a much more focused cast today. Yes, it is just going to be me, BC Dagger, today. I wanted to make sure that there were no technical difficulties today. So what I did is I eliminated everything. You're not going to see even the donation screen or the chat screen on here. just to ensure that everything will run smoothly. It's going to be all about games and super game focus, and that we're not going to take anything else away from it. I do have Dewalt facts, and my Bonyth facts are on my wife's computer, so assuming that Bonyth does win today, then we'll bring back Bonyth's facts for a re-feature, because we didn't really get to show those off. But you will learn a bit about Dewalt. Something you might want to know about Bonyth, though, is that he has a Hemingway cat. So up in the top left-hand corner, you can see Bonyth's picture. And if you don't know what a Hemingway cat is, there is on his paw. So normally you have, a certain amount of, I guess you can call them fingers on a cat's paw. Well, Hemingway cats have an additional finger. And the reason why they're called that is because Hemingway actually used to have a collection of cats at his home, and he used to breed them a certain way so they would have that extra digit. Now, that's a good term. Let's just go with digits. So yeah, Bonyth and his Hemingway cat are just reigning supreme with the Protoss race. All right, so someone's saying the games were amazing last week. Yeah, they were amazing, but I'm not sure how many of you guys were actually able to see the video feed of those games. They were actually quite good. God, Bonyth just rocks it with carriers. But now's the problem where you don't really see carriers in a PvP. If we see carriers in a PvP, I will give $50 to the winner of whoever brought out of that game, if we do see carriers. So let's just let's throw that money down. Now, anybody who's coming in, if you don't know, Africa Star League brought in this big sponsorship money, which is great. So it's helping me pay off this event. But any new amount of money that does come in will go to the players for a new tournament, which I'm planning for the end of the year. It will be, instead of this week-to-week format, we are going to have maybe like a 3 or 4 week event where it's going to be a bracketed tournament. Only if we can pull the funds together. Maybe Africa TV can also sponsor that too. But your donations are going to contribute to that. So let's go ahead and just prepare for this first game. Just going to Fight Club. We're already at week 6. Oh my god, if you don't know, we have 5 additional weeks now, so we're going to go to 15 weeks. And we're almost to the halfway point. Unfortunately, we have gone 1/3 of the way through. Let's see, I've got Dewalt versus Bonyth right here, PvP. I hope you guys are excited, as I am, because the PvP that we saw just over this past weekend did not disappoint. Who was that? Tyson versus, man, my brain is so bad sometimes, but you guys have to understand that's just what happens. Tyson versus Gwimchi was amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and click this, go over to scene 13. We've got the Drill versus the Catman, and this is going to be on Crown and Scepter, the most Fighting Spirit-esque map, which is where Bonyth said last week, and his Bonyth facts was that Fighting Spirit was his go-to map. He's very comfortable on it, and so since this is the most similar map, I'm imagining that Bonyth, because he was the winner, he picked this map purely because he has the momentum going forward with it. But let's go ahead and establish the colors in position. So Bonyth will be at this top right-hand corner, which means that we will have our red Protoss player down here. At the bottom right, this will be Dewalt. Of course, try not to get yourself mixed up with this mirror matchup, because we've got a best of 9, 4 foreign maps, 5 Korean maps that we could be plowing through. Now, the PvP meta, I feel like, is one of the most set in stone metas that we have these days. It's really kind of a variation of the same thing. Once you get your first couple gateways, is it going to be 3 gate and then a robo for observer, or is it going to be fast robo to get the reaver? It's really a lot about getting scouting information early on, seeing how quickly the gas has been taken, how many gateways have been put down. We're just going to kind of learn that over time. There's no point in really trying to guess which build order these players are going to go for, especially in the first game, until we get a feel of who's going to try and open up aggressive. That's really the feeling that I think, in a best of 9, you have a lot of opportunities to do these aggressive builds and fail if you want to. And some people say if you're going to rush in a best of 5 or cheese your opponent in the best of 5, you should always do it in game number 2. And for me, I think game number 1 is a great time to cheese out your opponent and do something hyper aggressive, because it can put them on tilt from the get-go. Of course, we've seen players when they lose game number 3 and then end up having reverse kills and best of 5s. That turnaround, the momentum of losing game number 3 after 2 wins in a row can really just shake things up. We see that at greatest lengths when we watched Flash versus Effort, where Effort, he won game number 3, turned it around, and won the following 2 games. And more after that have we seen that kind of same story repeated in StarCraft history. So 2 gates early on, a Zealot to block the ramp and make sure that a probe does not get in. So this is just kind of the mercy of the later probe scout. And this probe is only going to be going up to the top left. Dewalt is going to be so late on information. Meanwhile, Bonyth sees everything. And most importantly, he sees that there is not a second gateway here. There is a cybernetics core confirmed that has been put down. Meanwhile, 2 gateways before this robo gas starts to come up. So the gas and then the robotics facility is actually going to follow up afterward. And that's what's being planned on right here. Because eventually that Dragoon tech does have to follow. But here's Bonyth setting the pace. And this is what he did versus Koga in the PvT. He was very aggressive early on. He established a lot of map dominance. And with these 3 Zealots coming out, we're going to see, as long as he can win this uphill battle and maybe get a Zealot out of position, then he can really face off against this army. But as long as Zealots continue to produce, even off this 1 gateway, there's just that strong defender's advantage. It's such a long distance for these Zealots to make their way across the map and get to this ramp. These 3 are going to face off here with the 2 additional probes. There's going to be that just buffer damage to help fight against these Zealots. Probe does go down, so that was a good little engagement here. And as Zealot is down too. So Bonyth actually taking a good portion of this fight. I'd imagine, okay, so this Dragoon is going to pop out very shortly. You can see that a Zealot was canceled out of this too. The second gateway coming down now. And Dewalt knows that Bonyth had to have gone for a second gateway in order to get this number of units out. And these Zealots should go down very shortly. This was a good rush. It seems that Bonyth being able to take a couple probe kills does some nice harassment in here. It shouldn't be any more probes that get killed off here. This Zealot really should get killed off before it takes another kill. But let's keep a watch. Nothing else coming down. Look at the minimap. Nothing else coming down the line here. So Bonyth has pulled off all pressure, which gives us the time to actually look back at his base and see where he's at. He's got the spinning upgrade for cybernetics core range. Dragoons are popping out, so 2 at a time. He still hasn't dropped down a robotics facility, so he's not trying to rush towards that tech. But we can see a Citadel of Adun in response. So if the Citadel of Adun was dropped down after Bonyth's last Zealot was killed off, then Dewalt is making a really good decision because he's just going for DTs. Now, on the other hand, we can see because a couple Dragoons are getting pumped out, a robotics facility hasn't been dropped down yet, Bonyth is actually fighting at a disadvantage. What's this probe going to do? Just another scouting pylon. And, okay. So he's not actually getting ready to expand or do anything silly. It's just pure Dragoons pumping out. And Dewalt knows that because of this delayed robo, just by that 2-gate pressure, he alone is going to have this huge potential for an upset in game number 1. That Templar Archives can't go any slower. It needs to spin really fast for Dewalt to make sure he can catch Bonyth. So the robotics facility, I believe it finishes in a faster time than the Templar Archives, but really they're just kind of fighting each other neck and neck. And then, can the DTs be produced out of the gateways, make themselves up across the map, and meet the opponent's army before observers are going to be there? That's really just, this is all going to be clutch from Bonyth, but he has that D rank on Fish, which is just such a high rank. Remember, don't forget that he really can prepare against any type of Korean player, which makes him well equipped to fight against Dewalt. Now, Dewalt can't take his natural base. This is tough for him. This is kind of what we saw from one of Tyson's games versus Brittany, where once you get that early amount of Dragoons, you can bring the units over into the natural, camp on the low ground, and just snipe anything that comes down this ramp, because Protoss sucks coming down a ramp. They really do. Absolutely the worst possible race to go down ramps, and these Dragoons will just get picked off one at a time, which is where you can either get your DT out, you can get your DTs out and try and attack these Dragoons while there's no vision here. And Bonyth is so smart. Bonyth is so smart because he knows that this DT is out. He saw the pixelation right away, and now he's marching his way home. Meanwhile, whoa, Dewalt, he's doing double gate outside of the base, so he's got 2 proxy gates. An observer's coming out right now here, and yeah, so observer's done. This DT not a threat as long as the observer gets outside this natural base. But this is all a bunch of extra production that's going to catch Bonyth off of very quickly. And if he can keep this DT alive too, the swipe damage from the DT can be so devastating, especially if you just kind of lose vision of the DT. But it gets taken out very quickly with that observer at the front. Dewalt not taking the best engagement with his Dragoons, and Bonyth is going to pull on the aggressive. He's got the tanking Zealot at the front, and that was a couple Dragoons that I'm sure Dewalt did not want to lose. But you can see with that double production right here, he's got 2 gates producing Dragoons constantly from here, and I believe that that Dewalt from this point is thinking that he's going to go all in and just try and win this game outright. So the observer is working its way down across the map. It hasn't seen the gateways over off to the left, and there isn't the ability to scout for Bonyth. Dewalt needs to take a better engagement at this bridge. Really important that he gets the concave, but instead he's shrinking himself into small space as Bonyth is trying to do the best route he can, but you can't concave when you don't only have 4 units. So really not a lot of DPS is coming out. Remember, Bonyth is thinking that he's fighting at a defender's advantage, but 2 more Dragoons pop out, and suddenly Bonyth's got to be concerned. Oh my god, Dewalt, how do you constantly have so many Dragoons? This is absolutely outrageous. And Dewalt is taking a his units are streaming across actually too slow. And Bonyth, I think, is going to eventually defend. The Reaver is out. He's got mining at his natural base. And Dewalt is in some sort of pickle. Another gateway has been dropped down. Actually, 2 more gateways here starting to do the warp and process. This Reaver's got some Scarabs up in the queue. And these Dragoons, they're going to engage on the Reaver and go, oh my god, they can't do squat. These cannons are actually in a good spot too. Some additional static defense just in case. Bonyth was feeling just in case he was going to end up losing the micro battle here. But Dewalt looks like he'll just end up losing purely because of this Reaver. He's trying to encroach on it. He's trying to. Two Dragoons got some shots off, get the health low, and it's just not going to be enough, though. Bonyth once again does defend. So much economy, again, is getting drained into this. There is this natural nexus that's coming up, but the probe production has gotten really high. So 41 probes for Bonyth. You can see 35 zealots for Dewalt. So his economy is just really, really far behind, minutes behind at this point. And without a single shuttle, these brave Reavers are just going to slug their way out, and try and take out the Dragoons. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. I wonder if Dewalt is going to GG as soon as he loses these Dragoons here, just because he knows that he's fighting at such a disadvantage. I love that he battles on the outside of this bridge, though. It's hard to break this contain despite the combination of units that Bonyth has. And Bonyth, quite frankly, has just been focusing on droning up super hard and just taking his army production in strides. Now that he has the shuttle has speed. This is really good for him because a speed shuttle allows for decent micro. Yeah, Dewalt is going to call GG once he sees that shuttle out. And unfortunately, that 2-gate proxy pressure wasn't enough. I think it was just really that battle on the bridge where he caught himself all inside of Bonyth's army that made him a little too weak, and unfortunately his sneaky play did not pan out. Alright, so that's game number 1. Let me go ahead and update the score for player 1 here. Let's see. Alright. So we've got that set in. Bonyth. What a tight of a Protoss player, playing really well. Just give me 30 seconds. We'll go jump into game number 2. And I've got some random music queued up. For those of you who are wondering why I'm back on Twitch, we will be on Team Liquid's Twitch for weeks 6 through 9. So 3 more weeks on Team Liquid, and then we will be doing a full switch from 10 through 15 to Africa TV to confirm the full sponsorship. We agreed that we would finish the Fight Club off once we got through the first initial weeks on Africa TV itself. So you will be finding me there in the future. But for right now, you know, of course, we're just going to be on Team Liquid TV. And let me go ahead and pause this music. So Dewalt, known as Belyov Andrei, I don't know if I said that right, from Novosibirsk, Russia. And I looked up Belyov, and it says, moods are a problem, as you can be highly inspired one minute and the next minute quite irritated and annoyed over some ill-timed remark or lack of consideration on the part of someone close to you. So pretty much Dewalt should not play against Julia because he can be irritated very quickly. So one person to avoid. Also, it said something about having issues with fluid problems in your body, but I left that definition out because I thought that was a little bit too weird. But here's the cool thing about this city that Dewalt lives in. It is the 3rd most populous city in Russia after Moscow and St. Petersburg. And I looked up all these Google images of this particular city, and a lot of them showed girls like tanning outside, and which is weird to me because honestly I would imagine that Russia is a typically cold country, and so tanning just doesn't sync up with me. Maybe I feel like tanning boosts would be a much more successful thing out there. Alright, let's get ready for game number 2. I didn't even check the map. Let's do it. Okay. Yes, welcome everybody to Fight Club. Africa is still involved. They are involved. They are official sponsors on this. Just so you guys know, they are badass, and we will see Africa TV hopefully investing in the future of StarCraft, foreign StarCraft. So let's just keep that in mind. Let's set this up to fast too. Okay, Dewalt's at the bottom right, and Bonyth is at the top left. What else did I have to add to this? I felt like I had something else, but we'll add that. Yes, donations, guys. Anybody, if you donate, the donations will go towards the a tournament that I am planning to host in Q4 of the year. So that's the later part of the year. Why not in Q3? Well, I have a child coming in June, and I may just go AWOL for a little while. No one knows how this child is going to completely wreck my ability to cast StarCraft. I don't know. Maybe he'll be quiet while I'm casting, but we'll just have to play it by ear. So look at this. This is awesome. So Overwatch is a 2-player map. Dewalt, I love this because, I mean, god damn it, Fight Club has not been dirty enough. And I mean, we had a little bit of Julia versus Kogut getting into the nitty gritty, but Dewalt, game number 2. Remember I said number 2 is that key game where players decide that they're going to go for a cheese build, an all-in build. And Dewalt is making a gateway in Bonyth's space. Now Bonyth, he put his gateway over towards the left side. If Bonyth survives here, or at least wins out this best of 9, he will not be making this mistake ever again. Okay, so the second, and I want to pause here because we have the ability to. Let's go ahead and take away Dewalt's vision, and this is what we see. This is how close it is. And there's quite a bit of fog of war actually between these buildings. And so let's go ahead and get into continuum mode. And Bonyth, you know, he's usually the one to scout earlier. So it's surprising. I think that Bonyth didn't scout quite as fast purely because it's a 2-player map. But this is also interesting. He took a fast gas, like a super fast gas, which makes me think that this would be a DT build that is tailored to this map specifically, because you know where your opponent is. So both players going for sniper builds. Yes, three probes on the gas right away. We see a second pylon. This is a precautionary pylon. Obviously, he could have built it back at home, but this is good. The probe does finally come out for a scout, but it's going to be too late. 2 zealots on the way. Some more food supply on the way for Dewalt. This couldn't get any better. Bonyth Bonyth, the high-ranking player, the winner of Week 5, is finally going to face his toughest challenge yet as he sees this 2-gate pressure now. The probe comes in, the zealot comes in, and there's not much for him. He didn't even make a zealot out of his gateway. He hasn't made a zealot. Oh, wait. Okay. So he does have a zealot. He does have a single zealot. So thank God. It does come in from the south. It's going to help battle in here. The probe damage is actually pretty good. But there are quite a lot of probes not mining, taking a lot of damage. The zealot goes down here too. And just the trades aren't going to be good. Without a shield battery, Bonyth has no hope of holding on. There are zealots that are queued in. The economy is so good for Dewalt right now as he continues this attack. The worker count shrinking lower and lower and lower. A Dragoon is on its way out, and how can a Dragoon think that it can kill off this Zealot before all the workers are killed off? But Bonyth, he's going to stay in here and try and do the best worker micro he can. And it's the sad thing about probe workers is that they can't repair themselves. I mean, they are absolutely useless to each other. All they do is have that whisker sparkler that comes out of their nose, and that's just an unsatisfying amount of damage. So this Dragoon does get to kill. This Dragoon does get the kill, but it will go down maybe very shortly. The Zealot goes down here. So these Zealots are about to sync up. No. They're not. I mean, they're kind of offset. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys have played those games where your buildings kind of auto-build units, and you can cancel your units to kind of auto-build, sync them up at the same time. That would be more effective if there were two Zealots out, streaming out concurrently. But still, for whatever reason, we are seeing that Bonyth is continuing to stay in this game to take this fight until the bloody end. Another Dragoon pops out to try and lay down the damage. Look at all of these probes. A pylon has been laid out inside of the home base of Dewalt. Meanwhile, let's go back here. This Dragoon micro, and along with the probes, is absolutely spectacular because somehow every Dragoon has been making some pretty phenomenal amount of damage. So this is the last of the workers. The DT tech isn't going to happen. At this point, you might think that the replay is bugged because of how long this is lasting. I'm going to take a cheers to my beer, and we're just going to enjoy this one slowly. This is the typical Protoss versus Protoss death animation that we're used to, right? The final probe, and GG. GG. Wow, that was too quick. Set my stream to online on the calendar. Is the Team Liquid stream not set to online? I don't know who does this. I'm not sure if it's Team Liquid itself, but this was online. I promise you. Let me go ahead and set this to save changes. Thank you for the update. I mean, I literally checked this non-stop during my intro video. But Team Liquid has this really weird thing where it can somehow boot your stream off if you add it too early to the event, which I added mine about 10 seconds too early to the event. Okay, so yeah, that was some pretty good play by Dewalt. Really, really smart move. That shows a clear understanding of the map. Now remember, this was actually played in one of the Team Liquid leagues several years ago, back when Sale was casting those leagues. So I think Dewalt actually got a lot of his practice back then. This is one of those 4 maps that has been around for a decent amount of time. All right, let's learn another Dewalt fact. Let's see here. Let's see. Dewalt, what do we know about you? All right, here we go. So Match Point is his favorite map, and of course, Match Point, a phrase started by the winner of a competition or fight, and used as a taunt which can be coupled with expletive. Match Point, mother effer, and then race stats. I censored it. I don't know how many kids are watching this. You know, we always hope that a bunch of kids are going to end up watching these streams because they're the future tykes of StarCraft. And that leads me into a good story for you guys before we start game number 3. So my wife and I were playing a game called Coup. C-O-U-P, Coup. It's a card game. No, actually, this is before that. We were playing Uno. So we were playing Uno with some family friends, and their daughter was playing with us. And my wife won the Uno game, and she looked at the little girl who was playing with us, and she said, GG, no re. Oh my God. In that single moment, I looked at her and I knew that I would remarry her in a second if I could. And lately, I don't know if she's just caught the nerd bug, but I'll say good luck, and she'll always finish it with have fun. So I am turning my wife into this ultimate nerd, even though she like does sewing and crafts and likes to make like really cool hands-on stuff. You know, she's getting into gaming. Guys, we were watching her. She watched me play 30 minutes of Horizon, which is awesome. Why am I casting when I bought Horizon and I've only played 30 minutes of it? That's the question. We'll dive into Horizon next. We've got game number 3 to go to. Let's minimize this. Switch to scene 13. No, that's my old background. Here we go. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Coup is really fun. Someone else has played Coup? Oh my god. So it's like the most BS game ever. I'll tell you guys about it. Just give me a second. So you have like all these different roles, and they're supposed to be really quick games, and there's money that you can take from the middle, but you can like deny people from taking money. If you're a certain character, you could take more money than anybody else. But the interesting thing is when like you're trying to assassinate people and or kill their characters off, and you only get 2 cards, and so both your characters can get killed off really quickly. And so it's really fun because you can lie about what characters you have, and people may not know it. And then they'll have to challenge you. And if they challenge you and lose, they lose a character. But if they are correct, then you lose a character. Well, I made the mistake of challenging an assassin, and you actually end up losing both characters at the same time. Don't make that mistake. Died so quickly. I was really good at lying, though, so I won quite a few games. So, you know, Dewalt came out with a pretty crazy BS build on a 2-player map, so let's get right into this and establish positions. Dewalt going to be at this right position. Demian, 3-player map. If you're not aware, let's go ahead and throw you. It's been played quite a bit in the Africa Star Leagues in the previous couple years. Kongdu Stars League, I believe, also had this map. If not, it was Vant Stars League, one of the two. And so Bonyth is going to be spawning down here at the left side. He will be that brown Protoss player now that you've seen enough of the map. Enough of the map to figure it out. A gateway coming down for both players. So it's looking like it's going to be a mirror. And I love this. They're both scouting at the same time. So while we saw a decently long game in game number 1, I think that we will see our longest game so far in game number 3 here on Demian. We can see that the gas is coming up, but this is a normal follow-up. This isn't like a faster than usual gas like I was saying I predicted on Overwatch. In this sense, I think that this is a good follow-up to a quick to upgrade, range upgrade for Dragoon. And if not, then it's going to be quick to Robo from Bonyth. That's kind of my double prediction here. Meanwhile, we're seeing 2 gateway from Dewalt. So these players are deviating. There's no gas up here. This pressure is going to be strong, and it's kind of a reverse of what we saw in game number 1, where Dewalt is choosing to be the aggressor by going for the extra gateway faster versus Bonyth, who's going to be working towards tech faster. Look at this probe getting in here. So now Mariner Pylons are seen more in the PvP matchup than any other matchup. I think that Protoss players find that it's a lot easier with kind of how the sprites are built out on probes, that you can get a lot of Mariner Pylons in here if you time it out well. And those are always good investments if you can get a Mariner Pylon off. So we can see that the Zealot actually blocked off this probe from getting inside, so it went off. Like it went up here, it came away, and then it sat down and basically went, harumph, harumph, I can't get in. And this probe really wants to get in, but it's now going to see 3 Zealots, and immediately the Bonyth is going to have to prepare super hard for this. I wonder if we're going to see a shield battery. Are we going to see a shield battery in response for all of the Zealots that are streaming down? The walk distance isn't that far here either. The walk distance is pretty close. Look at this, the probe. Just getting all the scouting information, seeing that it's only a Zealot and Dragoon. 3 Zealots going to be making their way across, and no more production here. That's it. That's all the investment. So Bonyth is not going to be overreacting. He's going to be dealing with this maybe with just the right amount of units if he can micro well. And eventually I think maybe a probe or 2 will have to be pulled because it's hard to really micro perfectly against 3 Zealots. They don't care that they're getting smacked in the face with this plasma ball. They're just going to bum rush towards your units anyway. So Dewalt, he's going to have to deal with 2 Dragoons that are out here. The damage is going to be output much quicker. So what he's trying to do really here, if he can't get the Dragoon down, is just get some health damage down on this single Dragoon, which it did. It got down there, lost some shields, but no probe kills really from that Zealot inside of the mineral line. So 20 probes to 21 probes, and there's really no slight advantage there. Just the gateway advantage that comes from Dewalt, but he has range upgrade on the way. This range upgrade is going to finish up very shortly, and it's going to lead into what I was saying is this robotics facility. Now does Bonyth take the gamble, thinking that, okay, well, I don't think DTs are going to come, that he could go straight to the Reaver Tech. I think that would be a really good choice. Of course, we are all seeing, we know exactly what the opponent is going for, but I think that Bonyth should skip Observers and go straight to Reavers. So let's see that support bay. 4 Dragoons on the high ground, and sometimes you want to just try and get on that low ground so you don't get that low ground contained that Bonyth put on Dewalt and denied that natural base for so long. Kind of one of those interesting things you have to pay attention to. You don't want to get caught on top of that ramp. But the unit advantage is in Dewalt's favor, and he does have that at-home advantage of those 2 gateways that are already finished up. Okay, do we see here an observatory first? Bonyth has decided to play it safe. And he's playing it safe, and he's going to be low on gateways. So the unit count for Dewalt could get out of hand if he decides that he just wants to continue to non-stop produce units. We can see 2 Zealots coming in here, and I think that this is going to be an aggressive try and kill early build from Dewalt as he pushes across the map. Bonyth has got to get himself prepared, which is why he's trying to, instead of at this ramp, like I said, try and hold at the natural. At this choke point, if he's slightly inside the choke point, because it gives him a little bit more distance and will pinch the units as they do try to engage. So the units pinched in here a little bit. Dewalt is really actually getting some really good shots off on Bonyth, and Bonyth is fighting at a disadvantage. He's got an Observer out, but the Observer provides nothing. Remember, 2 Zealots are streaming across the map here too. So as long as Dewalt can find a hole and get his units up the ramp, then Bonyth is going to be in trouble. Bonyth pulls the probes here, trying to get what kills he can. And now he's got to get them back on the mineral line because he's going to be at a huge economic disadvantage if he doesn't get back to mining. These 2 Zealots are probably what Bonyth is really just loathing right now because they can just throw down that DPS so quickly on top of the probes, and that's not what he needs. So this massive worker damage is coming down. Neither player expanding, but the worker count again, 24 workers, 23, and trickling down. Let's see. 32 workers, 8 more for Dewalt, and he's got more units streaming in, but the Reaver Tech has finished. The Reaver Tech and Bonyth wants to hold on top. These Scarabs can be a complete game changer, which is where he's going to try and hold. We can see that the robotic support bay built at the bottom. Another Reaver coming down to opt for a second Reaver instead of going for that shuttle tech next. And what is Dewalt going to do behind us? He's going to expand. He's got 32 workers. He's going to want to mine very shortly off that next base because he's already over mining at this main base location. The Reaver Tech is going to be in his favor and coming along too. As you can see, the shuttle first and the Reaver next. Now, this is tough for Bonyth because of a couple things. One, he doesn't have that natural base, which will be coming up shortly. But even if he does take a natural, because he knows he can't fall behind in the Nexus and his probe count is getting way behind Dewalt's right now. It's the Dragoons. The Dragoons can't cover this back area effectively if they're trying to guard this area too. So if you can see on the minimap, between both mineral lines, there's quite a wide range that has to be covered with quite a big lack of units there. And so the Dragoons for Dewalt, I would like to see them come up and pressure at the front. They can apply some really good pressure and maybe absorb a few of these Reaver shots at the cost of distracting Bonyth. And then coming in here and dropping down some Reaver Scarabs. Demian actually is a really, really good Reaver map too. It's just one of those maps that if you come in from the right angle, you can get Scarabs around these mineral patches pretty easily. And often, they tend to land more often than glitch out and miss. So important to remember here. 37 probes we're seeing. The Nexus is coming up a 10 worker or 10 probe count difference. And here comes the loading. Here comes the loading. Nope, no, of course not. Look at this pressure. Look at this pressure from Bonyth. What a bold move as he's trying to get a few extra kills. He's got 2 Reavers throwing down these Scarab shots. This pylon trying to absorb what damage he can. If he loses this Reaver in the back, then maybe he will be fighting at a little bit of a disadvantage. But the Dragoon count is really high for Dewalt, and he's been able to hold on so far. This shuttle being in a pretty good spot too. Look at that, how he pulled up this Dragoon to get away from that Scarab damage to at least help him defend at home. Bonyth did exactly what he needed to do. He applied so much pressure, he just cut down a good amount of Dewalt's core army. And then, so while Dewalt has a nice economic advantage, he doesn't have the units to move out and pressure the economic recuperation that's coming from Bonyth. Okay, so we did see a probe that snuck away up north. And it really hasn't done anything yet, but it does have that potential to sneak an expansion over there. I would rather see a couple more gateways drop down. You know, when you have 2 bases like this, you can get up to 6 gateways total. And really could continue some pretty solid production. Oh my god, the micro coming out here. I know that there's this battle going down. And more of these Dragoons are getting picked off. Oh, Bonyth is just laying on the pressure. Every time more units come out to hold at the natural base, wow, all the probes are going to have to get pulled. If these Reavers dropped on the Scarabs, this could have been really bad news, but instead opting to get the Dragoons down to just kill off what probes they can. 41 probes, remember, to 28. So the worker count is still high, but this Nexus isn't being mined from, and Bonyth is doing everything he can to equalize every advantage that Dewalt has, and Dewalt can't get down. He can't leave this high ground very effectively. Okay, so the Dragoons, they push out, trying to pick off Bonyth Dragoons, but every time this shuttle pushes in, it has the Reaver here. Oh! The Reaver! It gets a Scarab on Dewalt, and Dewalt taking such a risky tactic. And now he's in danger of losing his Nexus because he rushed that Reaver down. He doesn't have quite the units to defend here, and he's going to be back on 1 base very shortly. We need to sneak away and see what Bonyth has, but what chance do we have to sneak away from this? Is this probe coming to help? Is this probe really trying to come up? The Zealots trying to just face palm the Reaver if they can, as they do come in here. With the slightly faster build time, I think that maybe having at least 1 Zealot was nice. But again, wow! Wow, Dewalt, he loses everything in a micro battle. He loses everything. He had this in the palm of his hands. Oh, was Dewalt Atlas, but he shrugged the world off his shoulders and let Bonyth climb above, taking game number 3. Wow. What a game. That was absurd. And we've got 9 games potentially of this kind of micro battle. Oh, Dewalt has got to strap himself in and buckle down if he wants to continue to play games against Bonyth, who just microed like crazy. That was amazing. Amazing, amazing. Well, okay, let's switch back. I'm just... are you guys mind blown by that game? I mean, that was absurd. Okay, so Dewalt, okay, and let's talk about Dewalt's favorite movies here. Can you guys name his 3 favorite movies? I'm going to take a water break or a beer break, whatever, while we do this. All right, what we're going to do to satisfy the viewers, and the fact that apparently this causes a mini-map lag that I do not see on my end, we're going to go to multiplayer here. Let's go to multiplayer. Why don't I try doing the local area network connection? Whoa! Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I clicked on the wrong one. I was like, whoa, I've never been able to not create that. Let's create game. No, I can't do the replay view through that, can I? Ah, it was a novel idea. No, Bakaru, you told me this a while back, but the problem is when I cast through like Icy Cup itself, let's just go to Icy Cup. Let's just do it. You know, I'm just always concerned that there's going to be a lag issue, and purely because of that is why I thought it would be more worth it. Oh, look at that, it crashed. Anyway, more music. I'm gonna get this set up. Just give me a second. All right, well, that's the end of my song, so we're going to go into this next cast. That sounds perfect. Okay, here we go. Week number 6. Guys, if you're enjoying Fight Club, if you enjoyed that PvP, please donate. There will be a foreign tournament at the end of the year. All this money will go towards that. Hey, it's going to be benzene. All right, let's get this started. It's going to be just me.